Brian is here with another video for you, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can get started with calisthenics for beginners. Alright, so before we get into the exercises, I want you guys to understand what calisthenics is. Calisthenics is basically building strength with body weight movements. So using your body weight entirely for gaining some amount of strength. But it does advance into other kind of movements where you add weight into it, but that's on another level which we'll talk about later. But as of now, I want you guys to understand that calisthenics is basically building strength using body weight movements. Now before we get into the exercises, I also want to tell you guys that I'll be breaking this up into pulling and pushing movements. So there will be two kinds of pulling movements and two kinds of pushing movements. Both will be horizontal and vertical. So first we'll start off with the pulling movements, and I'll explain to you all the exercises for a beginner for pulling movements. Then we move on to pushing movements. Alright, so the first movement is a pulling movement, a horizontal pulling movement, which is called the body weight row, also known as the Australian pull-ups. Why this is important is because you need to be able to do this in order to get your pull-ups. I've also made an entire tutorial on how to get your first pull-up, so go ahead and watch that first. You'll understand how to move about with getting your first pull-up for those of you who can't do your first pull-up. But as a beginner, this is something which will help you build that pulling strength. So this is how it's done. You basically get under the bar. Now before you start, let me point out all the mistakes that you probably might make. One is keeping your waist down and trying to pull. See, it already makes the movement very awkward. So you want to keep your hips up, glutes engaged, pull to the bar and then back down. Make sure that your chest touches the bar. And one more thing you want to keep in mind is that when you're doing this, at first the length that I've taken could be difficult for some people. So what you can do is you can bring your feet more back and make it more easier. So this becomes even more easier. If you want to make it more difficult, you can put your legs more further away and then pull. Remember to retract your shoulder blades. Pull, squeeze and then leg down. Alright, so the second movement that I'm going to be showing you guys is a pull-up. The reason why this movement is so important is because when you advance into other advanced movements like the front lever and all that, it becomes very difficult if you don't have good pulling strength, especially a scapular retraction. When you're doing a pull-up, one of the progressions to doing a pull-up is having good scapular retraction. And if you have bad scapular retraction, advancing into the front lever is very difficult because the front lever is 50% using your back and then your core, of course. But depression of your scapular retraction is very important to front lever and other movements also. So if you can master the pull-up, if you're able to do good amount of reps with the pull-up, this is one thing which you have to focus on a lot. Okay, so how you do a proper pull-up? You probably see a lot of guys in the gym, especially bodybuilders, they'll be doing pull-up something like this. That's not a pull-up. Okay? That's just you moving slightly up and coming back down. You probably see a lot of CrossFitters. Now this is no disrespect to the sport, but when you come into calisthenics, form is one of the most important things you're focusing on. And by form what I mean is straight legs, okay, straight arms, and you pull right till the bar passes your chin. So there's no movement, it's straight, clear, back down, clear, back down. No kipping, no using any sort of help, using your legs, no extra range of motion. You just go up and back down. Alright, so the next movement is pushing movement. It's the vertical pushing movement. Now, what I mean vertical pushing movement, doing a dip is the vertical pushing movement. Now, how you do a dip, I'm going to show it to you. But what you need to understand is that even if you can't do this, because I can understand this could be a little difficult for beginners, you can use resistance bands and do this, or there are easier progressions. And I'll show you one of them. So if you cannot do a dip, at least get up and then just lower yourself down. Jump down. You don't have to push yourself up. If you don't have the strength to push yourself up, no issues. But then get back up again. Lower yourself down. Now I'll show you what's a proper dip. For those of you all who can do a dip, it's going to look something like this. Legs straight, like I said, no movement, no kipping and trying to do it. There's It's just strict form. So leg straight, go down 90 degrees with your shoulders and elbows, press back up. Right. Another quick tip when you're doing a dip is how you have your scapula. So sometimes most of y'all put all the pressure on your shoulder joints, which is risky. You can get injured. You would probably not be able to train for a week. So you might just have a depressed scapula. Now see, it's all the pressures on my shoulder joints and my elbow. But what I want you guys to do is retract your scapula. So now you see, all the stress is off my shoulder joints. It's all on the back. Go down, come back up. Go down, come back up. No depressed scapula. It's always going to be retracted. Alright, so now that I've shown you the vertical pushing movement, I need to show you the horizontal pushing movement, which is probably most of y'all will probably know this. It's the basic push-up, but most of y'all get this wrong. So while doing a push-up, you'll get down correct, but then what most of y'all might do is, you see elbows flaring out wide, or even if you're doing it correct, you probably might just go this much. These things aren't a push-up. When you're doing a push-up, you have to keep two things in mind. Your body will be completely parallel to the ground, and when you go down, your entire body moves down. Not just your upper body, your entire body. What I mean by this is, and where does your elbows go? Your elbows don't go wide out. They go at a 45. So look something like this. So your elbows won't go wide out. They're going to go 45, back up. So you see, my entire body is going down. I'm pushing back up. It's not going like this. It's not going like this. Nothing of that stuff. You go completely down, push back up. Alright, so these were the exercises that I recommend a beginner to do. But now most of you might have this confusion as to when to do them, which days to do them, how to do them. Okay, so for me, the way I started out, the way I did it was, I broke it up into push, pull and legs. So for legs, of course it's a separate video. I've made an entire leg workout video where I take you through my entire workout as to how I do legs. But as of push and pull, I break them up, I put them in 2 days. You can do both the exercises on one day, but it's up to you. I generally like to do them on Monday and Tuesday. So push I will do on Monday, and Tuesday I'll do pull. So pushing movements, like I showed you the push-up and the dips. So I'll break them up into 4 sets of 10 reps or 4 sets of 15 reps based on how good you are at them. You can also do the pulling movements in the same manner, but keep the rep range between 10 to 12. If you're a complete beginner, then I'll suggest you focus on building your way up by performing the easy exercise. Like for the pull-up, you can do the horizontal rows, the Australian pull-ups. Those are easy. So you focus on them, first get a good rep range from them, and then advance into the pull-up. And if you're a complete beginner who's going to do pushing movements, try the push-ups, try working on bent knee push-ups. Then you can use bands while doing the dips. So focus on all these simple movements first before you get into them. And for those of you who are able to do a pull-up, who are able to do dips comfortably, keep it to 4 sets, 10 reps each, and that will be the shit, because then these will be pushing you and helping you get that strength for advanced movements. Advanced movements look very fancy, but if you don't do these basic movements, those will be very difficult to get. So I recommend you do these first, and all the best.